going to be taking a brief detour from 31 Days of Horror 2015 countdown to talk about horror. Yes, that's right. I'm taking a quick break from doing all the genre overview from the 1920s up until 2015 to discuss a film who actually isn't officially on the itinerary for the 31 Days of Horror countdown, but a movie I think is worth discussing nonetheless because I just saw it over the weekend, and it's a movie that really kind of puts me in a position that I haven't really felt like I've been in by a piece of pop culture in quite some time. So I think it's worth kind of viewing under a different merit. So anyway, Child's Play. Chucky is a product of the 1980s, scared the crap out of me. But the problem with the character, and Brad Dourif, give him all the credit, he definitely made him an iconic figure. If you go back and you look at the movies now, the first one I think is pretty good. The second one I think is the best in the entire series. But from there, it really just starts sliding into self-parody. There's really only so much you can do with the idea of like a 2-foot-tall plastic doll, like killing people. Like Dee Snider, like on I Love the 80s, where he's like discussing the first movie, he's like, it's a joke. Really all I gotta do is step on it. What do you do? And I think, when you're a kid, Chucky is terrifying because, he's about the same size you are. He's a toy, nobody believes you, so it makes sense. But when you're 29, and you go back and you watch these movies, you're just like, I don't really see what the challenge is. It's like, this should not be a problem. Just pick it up and, just twist its head off. Problem solved, moves over in 2 minutes. Which brings me to something that's a little bit interesting. This is something not even a lot of people who are fans of the genre are aware of. There was actually a new Chucky movie that came out in 2013. Yeah, I know. How about that? 2013, it was called The Curse of Chucky. And it starred Brad Dourif. It is actually kind of a reboot / homage to the original series. It kind of did an about-face on the last 2 Chucky movies, Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky, where they were just really straight up horror parody. This one actually kind of goes back to try to make an actual legitimate horror film where Chucky's scary and it's a mystery and all that jazz, going back to their roots. And I bring this up because it's a film that I think works in some regards, but it also really doesn't work in a lot of other areas. So it's one of those movies where I'm really kind of towing the line between liking it and not liking it, and I still really don't know how I feel about it. Kind of give you the general overview. There are a couple things I do like about the movie. Her supply. There's a woman actually played by Brad Dourif's daughter, and she's in a wheelchair. Why she's in a wheelchair, we don't figure out until the very end of the movie. More on that later. So she's living with her mom, and they have a really big house. One day out of the blue, UPS truck shows up. Here's a delivery. Hey, it's Chucky. What are you going to do with him? I don't know. They keep him around. One night, the girl in the wheelchair wakes up. Mom's dead. And her family comes over, a bunch of caretakers. They try to get her to sign over the property, and they have to take care of her, help her mourn. And you get a bunch of cannon fodder show up. And of course, this being a Child's Play movie, you can take a wild guess what happens. So all that to say, it's really kind of going back to The Bat and Dimension 13 and even House on Haunted Hill. So it's very much a throwback to the old guard of the horror film, where you have a bunch of guests showing up in a specific location, and one by one they get knocked off. So it's a very, very much a traditional horror slasher old school film, which is weird because that's never really been what the Chucky movies have been about. Chucky's always been a little bit more expansive than that, and it doesn't really kind of get into the pathos of the main character as well. But I will give them credit because it actually is sort of an ingenious concept. If you have an adult taking on Chucky, it's not much of a contest. But since she's in a wheelchair and she has difficulty getting around, she can get upstairs, that makes it, I think, a little bit more of a challenge. I think that kind of gives it a little bit more weight and seriousness than it would have otherwise. And as far as the cast of characters, they're kind of, throwaways. They're just going to end up dying anyway. You got like a Catholic priest who shows up for no real reason to just die. You got with Chucky. He's kind of doing the Andy substitution. You've got the older sister who's having an affair with a babysitter, and her husband who really doesn't seem to care anymore, just wants custody of the child. So you got all these subplots going on, and really none of the characters are that interesting. You're just kind of waiting for Chucky to come alive and do what he does best and see how he offs people. And I mean, there's some pretty good stuff in here. Nothing truly iconic. I mean, if you're just here to watch the body count, you'll probably be disappointed because there's really nothing in here that's traditionally, very Child's Play-ish. Just kind of stuff like people getting electrocuted and, eyeballs poked out. So stuff that's really kind of dime a dozen. But yeah, Brad Dourif, once again, I mean, it's great to hear him, putting on the Chucky voice. I mean, the doll has kind of been, modernized a little. It almost looks kind of like the anime version of Chucky, which I think, kind of gives a little bit of a new spin. But of course, there's a big kind of plot twist later on, so it's not a brand new Chucky doll. It's actually the old Chucky we all know, just with the cosmetic paint, but more on that later. So, like I said, all this is good. I mean, there's lots of, reverential throwbacks to the first three movies. And that's all well and done. And, for that part, it's entertaining. It's going to keep you glued to the very end. But the thing that I think is going to be controversial is it actually kind of goes back and rewrites the mythos of Charles Lee Ray. It kind of goes back and retcons his history. And you find out a whole lot more about who he is as a person. And they're introducing this family, which plays a prominent plot role retroactively in the Chucky mythos. That apparently, the movie at the very end does a flashback sequence where it shows you what Charles Lee Ray was doing the night before he was Chuckified. And, without giving away the plot, I think it's going to be controversial to say the least. A lot of people are going to kind of watch it and say, well, wait a minute, was he doing like a hit job or something? Was there an entire plot motif from the first film about, Charles Lee Ray going after his partner in crime? Doesn't it kind of, redact the entire Chucky mythos? So there's that. I wasn't a big fan of that. It doesn't really kind of do the best job of giving us the movie you want to see. But the fact you just have the guy going around and they're trying to revisit the roots, and it's not like a straight up remake. It's very reverential. And admittedly, there is a really, really good sort of last second plot twist at the very end of the movie. Don't want to give that away, but there is another character from the Chucky mythos who shows up to kind of do a cameo, which explains, how Chucky's moving around, and I thought that was pretty cool. But, like I said, it kind of drags a bit. There's, the characters really aren't fleshed out. They're just there to die, and there are so many, I think, plot holes in this movie, including one that I think is just absolutely one of the most egregious examples in a recent horror movie. It's the fact that there's this one character who decides to put on a little webcam on Chucky because he wants to catch his wife cheating, and there's some lesbian stuff going on, so that's bonus points automatically. And for whatever reason, Chucky never takes it off. He's a sentient being, but he keeps this thing on for absolutely no reason other than, kind of blow his cover. It just doesn't make any sense. And there's also a lot of continuity errors, but, you'll see a lot of people get stabbed, and, they're bloody in one scene, and then they go back, and they're not bloody at all. This is one of those movies where there's one character, and it's one of those really small things, but it's kind of hurt me. There's this one character whose lip gloss appears and reappears 4 or 5 times over the course of the scene. It's 1 minute she's got blindingly purple lips, and then the next thing went, okay, well, they're normal color, then they're purple again. And you're just oh, come on, guys, you got to do better than that. And so yeah, it's not really the most professional caliber grade slasher film to come along in a while. But, like I said, it's great to see Brad Dourif there. I'm glad to see they're actually trying to make it a real horror film again. It didn't necessarily work what they set out to do, and wasn't a big fan of retconning the Charles Lee Ray mythos. And, the character development really wasn't there, and the death scenes were kind of a little underwhelming. But, just for what it is, because you have such a reverence for the character, because you know what's going on, because you haven't seen them really shown and attempted to be scary a lot since 1991, I think that makes it, probably worth getting at least one, especially if you're a big fan of the genre and the series like I am. And I don't know, it's an okay movie, not a great film. I mean, I can kind of see why in hindsight it never got theatrical release. But you know what? You really can't complain. I like to see kind of more movies that are kind of reverential like this, to actually pay homage to the original series, instead of just doing a half-hearted reboot. I love to see kind of some old school Michael Myers and Jason movies kind of follow that same motif. But it's out there. Curse of Chucky. It's available on Netflix now, which I think is probably the big stick. If you want to watch something, you got an hour and a half to kill. It's not a terrible movie. Not great, but it's all right. I think it's a fairly happy return to form for the series. And what else you gonna do with your life? So there you go. That's my thoughts on Curse of Chucky. Some good, some bad, but in the day I'm just kind of stuck in the middle. But at least it's out there. Your mileage may vary on whether or not that's a good thing or a positive thing, but it's more Chucky. I'm not gonna complain about that.